Good day, everyone. Today, our topic is about trigonometric functions of real numbers. Now, we all know that there are many topics under trigonometry, but since we cannot discuss all of these topics in a very short period of time, so we are only selecting some topics that are very useful, very essential when we move on to the concept of calculus. So we start with the first concept, that is the concept of a unit circle. So what do we mean by a unit circle? A unit circle is a circle that is centered at the origin or 0, 0, okay, with radius 1. Now, the equation of this unit circle is x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. Okay, so let's start the point from this point. This is 1, 0. And we assume that the point, okay, is moving along the circle. Okay, so it can form an arc or distance from this point going to any point on the circle. And we call that distance or an arc as t, okay? And since we are referring to a real number, so t is a real number, and this is in radian. Okay, so this point here, P of xy, is what we call the terminal point. Okay, now the terminal point is determined by the real number t. Okay, so if t is positive, that means that the point is moving along the circle in a counterclockwise direction. But if t is negative, that means that the point is moving along the circle in a clockwise direction. Okay? Now, what's the value of x and y given e? So here, we have the definition of the trigonometric functions. So let t be any real number and let p of xy be the terminal point. So this p of xy is the terminal point and t be any real number. Okay, a point on the unit circle determined by t. Then we define this, we have 6 trigonometric functions. So these are the definitions of the trigonometric functions. That means that sine of t, so whatever the t, as long as t is a real number, so since we are referring to a distance and sometimes t also refers to the angle measure that is in radian. And since radian is a real number, okay, so sine t is equal to y. Okay, that is the definition, that sine of that number is equal to y, meaning whatever the value of the y coordinate, that is equal to sine t. Okay, how about cosine t? Now, cosine of that real number t is equal to x. For example, we have the real number 0, meaning the angle measure is 0, and it is in radians, so we can still use 0. So cosine 0, okay, cosine 0, what's the value? It is equal to x. So since the point is 1, 0, therefore cosine of 0 is equal to 1. Again, since we have a point 1, 0, and since 1 is the x value and 0 is the y value, so cosine of 0 angle that is in radian is equal to 1. Okay, now how about tangent t? Tangent t is defined as y over x. Okay, so let us use the 0 angle, still here in the 0 angle that is in radian. So for example, tangent 0, So that means that y over x. So what is our y in here? Okay, the y is what? At zero angle, we have the terminal point that coincides to the initial point, which is 1, 0, right? So by just substituting it, we have 0 over 1. So tangent of 0 is equal to 0, and so on. So we have cosecant t is equal to 1 over y, provided that y is not equal to 0. Now secant t is equal to 1 over x, provided that x is not equal to 0. Then cotangent t is equal to x over y, provided that y is not equal to 0, so that the whole equation will not be undefined. Okay, so the technique here is to familiarize the 6 trigonometric functions, or the definition of the trigonometric functions. Again, sine t, when we say sine t, it's the value of y. Cosine t, it's x. Okay? Then tangent t, it should be y over x. Cosecant t, that is 1 over y, provided that y is not equal to 0. Secant t, that is 1 over x, provided that x is not equal to 0. Cotangent t is equal to x over y, provided that y is not equal to 0. Okay, so to explain more on the topic, I have here series of points in the first quadrant. So this is a unit circle. Okay, we start here at the 0 angle. Now it has a terminal point that coincides to the initial point 1, 0. Okay, if this point moves to this point, then it can form an angle, right? Then that angle is equal to pi over 6 in radian, but in degree, that is equal to 30 degrees. Okay, so if the question is, what is cosine of, in this point, what is cosine of 0? Cosine of the angle 0. Okay, by the definition, okay, when we define the 6 trigonometric functions, cosine of t is equal to x. Okay, so cosine of 0 is equal to 1, is equal to 1. How about cosine of pi over 6? Cosine of pi over 6, what's the x coordinate of this terminal point? Square root of 3 over 2. How about the question is sine of pi over 6? The y value of this terminal point is 1/2. How about sine of pi over 4? Sine of pi over 4 is square root of 2 over 2. How about cosine of pi over 3? Cosine, it's the x value, which is 1/2. How about cosine of pi over 2? Cosine pi over 2, when we see cosine, it's the x value, it is 0. How about sine pi over 2? It is equal to 1. Okay? Then I have also here a table. So t here, we have 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, pi over 2. And these are the terminal points. Okay? These are the terminal points determined by t. For example, if t is 0, then the terminal point 1, 0. Again, it coincides to the initial point. Now, if our t is pi over 4, then we have the terminal point, which is what? Square root of 2 over 2 and square root of 2 over 2. But if we have t is equal to pi over 2, then the terminal point that is being obtained is 0 and 1. Okay? And here is the complete trigonometric functions and the unit circle. So for example, we have the equivalent of pi over 6. Again, pi over 6 is a real number. This is in radian, and 30 degrees is in degree. That is equivalent to pi over 6. When we say 45 degrees is equal to pi over 4. 60 degrees, meaning from this, from the initial point going to that point, which is the terminal point, is 60 degrees or pi over 3. So since we are already given this one, a unit circle that has what? That has enough data, let's say the trigonometric values. For example, you are asked to find the cosine of 2 pi over 3. Where is cosine 2 pi over 3? So you locate cosine 2 pi over 3. 2 pi over 3, which is equal to 120 degrees, meaning from the initial point, you can form 120 degrees. Okay? 120 degrees, which is 2 pi over 3 in radian. So when we are asked to find the cosine of 2 pi over 3, it should be the x value. So 1/2. How about the sine of what? The sine of 7 pi over 6. 7 pi over 6. You locate 7 pi over 6. That is 210 degrees, meaning from the initial point going to this here is a form or forms an angle of 210 degrees or 7 pi over 6. And that is equal to what? The cosine of 7 pi over 6. The x-coordinate of the terminal point is negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay? Now, notice that the sign of the x and y coordinate, okay, of the terminal point depends on its location. For example, if the terminal point lies in the first quadrant, this one, then x and y are both positive. Notice that, for example, this point, the terminal point is square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2, right? So that means that this value is positive since this point lies in the first quadrant. So notice the values here, the x and y coordinate are all positive. How about here? Okay, in the second quadrant, you notice that the second, by the way, negative 1/2. This is negative 1/2. Okay. Sorry, this is negative 1/2. Then, what's the, for example, what is the cosine of 3 pi over 4? 3 pi over 4, we have the cosine is negative square root of 2 over 2. So notice that the points that lie in the second quadrant has or have a negative x-coordinate. Okay? That means since all the points here, the x values are negative in the second quadrant. How about in the third quadrant? Okay? X and y are both negative. In the fourth quadrant, the x values are positive, but the y values are negative. Okay? Now the question is, Ma'am, what if we cannot memorize all of these things in the unit circle? So is it still possible to find the values of the trigonometric functions? Yes. Now, actually, there's no need for you to memorize this unit circle with the complete trigonometric values. All you have to do is just to familiarize it. Then even if you only remember the first angle, that is pi over 6, you can get all of the angles, the rest of the angles. For example, in this pi over 6, so that is 30 degrees. Okay? So by 30 degrees, you can get pi over 3. How? At the next angle. All you have to do is to add pi over 6. So meaning you add pi over 6 or 30 degrees. So for example, pi over 6 plus pi over 6, you have 2 pi over 6. Now 2 pi over 6 is equal to pi over 3. So that will be the next angle. Okay? Again, pi over 6 plus pi over 6 is 2 pi over 6, which is equal to pi over 3. So that will be the next angle. For example, you know that this is pi over 3. So again, you add pi over 6 in order to get the next angle, that is by 30. So pi over 3 plus pi over 6, what? What would be the answer? So find LCD 3, 6. So that would be 6 divided by 3, 2 pi. Okay, so you have 3 pi over 6. Okay, so 3 pi over 6 3 pi over 6 can be reduced to pi over 2. Okay, so my suggestion while watching this video, you get a piece of paper, then you solve. Okay, you make a unit circle, then you label that one without a copy of this unit circle with complete trigonometric values. So try to obtain this pi over 6, pi over 3, pi over 2, 2 pi over 3 by adding pi over 6. Okay? So pi over 6, pi over 6, you have pi over 3. Plus pi over 6, you have pi over 2. Plus pi over 6, you will have, so you have 2 pi over 3 plus pi over 6 and so on. Okay? Then another mnemonic device is that every 30 degrees, the x-coordinate is square root of 3 over 2. You start from pi over 6 square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. Then the next one should be 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. What have you noticed? Okay? What have you noticed in this case? Nabaliktad siya. Ang x value, nagiging y value dito. Okay, so square root of 3 over 2, 1/2, then 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so dito naman, we have negative 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. So the next will be negative square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. Okay? So, yung negative na yan ay magdedepende lang kung saang quadrant. Okay, so next is negative square root of 3 over 2, negative 1/2, because it lies in the third quadrant. Okay, and this one, 45 degrees, is equal to pi over 4 in radian. Okay, so if you have questions, you can comment your question in the comment section, or you can email me anytime if you have questions regarding this. Okay, so you can, as your assignment again, create a unit circle with a complete trigonometric values without looking at this diagram. Okay, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to study always, to practice always, as well as to share the learning that you've got from this video. Thank you so much, and for the specific example as an application of this lesson will be tackled in the next video. So thank you, and God bless.